Welcome back, and so today I'll be talking about the Standardizer Transformation in Informatica Data Quality. So the Standardizer Transformation helps to standardize data. For example, say you have some data values coming in a file or in a table as street. So in some places, say it's mentioned as street, the other place it's mentioned in some other rows, it's mentioned as str, okay, or in some other rows it's mentioned as st. So now you want to standardize all these values to a uniform value for improving your data quality. So you can map all these values to st dot. So this is the abbreviation for street. So no matter how many values you get in different ways like street or str or st, all of these will be converted to st. So similarly, circle will be abbreviated as cr dot and drive will be abbreviated as dr dot. You can also standardize country names. So you have some places is coming as the United States of America. Then you want to standardize the country name to USA. And some other places coming as u dot s dot a dot or US or u dot s dot. So you want to standardize all of them to a uniform country name as USA. So this is the function of a standardizer transformation, and you can standardize all of these values by mapping these values against each of the abbreviated names in a reference table, and you can match these values coming in the data with the reference table, and the reference table valid column can return the standardized names. So just a little bit theory about the standardizer transformation. This is a passive transformation which examines input strings and creates standardized version of those strings. Now you can build strategies how you want to convert your or standardize your data, and strategies are like logic. So you can match your data column in the file or in the relational database with the reference table, and you can return the valid values. So your first strategy is replace reference table matches with valid values. So the next strategy is replace reference table matches with custom strings. So your reference table say has the valid value as str, okay, as st, okay. So with the first strategy, replace reference table matches with valid values, this strategy will be replacing all these values with st dot. But if you want to give a customized name, say SDRT, okay, you can use this value as a custom string, and when your data matches the reference table, instead of ST, you can make the strategy return STRT. That is a custom string. So the next strategy is you can remove reference table matches. So wherever it finds matches like street, str and st, it will remove all those strings. That's the third strategy. You can remove your custom strings as well. So you can remove strt, and then you can replace your custom strings as well. So you can, instead of standardizing the value with strt, after standardization you can replace it with strt1. So I'll go through all of these strategies through a practical example which will help you understand the concepts. Apart from this, you have the ability to remove multiple spaces. Say there are multiple spaces. After standardization, it removes the multiple spaces example, say United States of America, there are more than one spaces. You want to remove the spaces after standardization. This can also be done. As well, it removes the trailing and leading spaces. So any spaces at the start of the data field or at the end of the data field can also be removed. Okay. Now you need to choose the delimiters, and delimiters are separators between the words. So if you choose a space delimiter, which is the default in this case too, so each of these will be taken as a separate word because there is a space delimiter. Okay, but if you choose your delimiter as none, you remove any delimiters, the entire word data string will be taken as one word. So that's why if you want to say standardize oranges and apples from a reference table, you can choose the separator as a semicolon, and the reference table should have oranges and apples. Okay, so as it says, searches the strings. If you don't give a semicolon, it searches for the entire value. Oranges, semicolon, apples, semicolon. It treats it as one word and goes and checks in the reference table. Whereas if you give a delimiter of semicolon, it will just check this value as one word, go and search the reference table. Next it will go to this value and go and search the reference table as well. So the reference table matching is case insensitive by default. You can make it case sensitive too. Okay. So now these are just screenshots of what are the different strategies. So you have replace reference table matches with valid values, replace reference table matches with custom strings. You can replace custom strings, then remove reference table matches, and then remove custom strings. Okay. So for my example, let's go back and start creating a mapping. So right click, new mapping. So I already made a standardization mapping. I'm going to just rename it as 1. Now I'm going to drag a source to the canvas. So this is the source country data. The default is a read. Let it be read because it is a source. Now right click, add transformation. You can type it standardize, choose standardizer, OK. So if you look at the data, this has names of customers and country. So these are the country names. Okay. So you feed this country column, drag and drop it onto the inputs, and next is right click, add transformation, add an expression. The expression is not needed. I'm just adding it to compare the input and the output side by side. So drag the input column again onto the expression. If you click on it, it gives you an option to rename it to country underscore input. Next thing is go to standardization. Right click, properties, go to strategy. So now, before you add a strategy, we have to add a reference table, and I already created the reference table for your reference. So let me open the source data. So this is the reference table. So United States of America. This one is here already. So how a reference table works is this is the valid column, and these are the alternate values. So any value it gets in the file checks it against alternate underscore value 1 column. If it doesn't find, goes to the second one, then third one, and so on and so forth. Once it finds a match, it returns the valid value. If it doesn't find a match, it will not return any value, but your standardizer will return what it got in the file. So similarly, US-A is there as an alternate value too. But say for example, India_1 is not there in the reference table. Similarly, Canada 45 is not there in the reference table. So now we will reuse this reference table, and the way to create reference table is very simple. If you just right click on your project, into a reference table, you can, if you already have a file for the reference table, you can make the reference table based on the file or the relational source, or you can create an empty reference table, name it, okay, and then you can add the columns here like I have done. This will choose any of the columns as a valid column by clicking on the checkbox. And once you do it, it will give you an option to add data. So once you click OK, the reference table will be added. Once it is added, if you double click on the reference table, it opens up the reference table. Now go to data, and you can add values here by clicking on the insert button over here. Okay. So I'm choosing this reference table in my strategies. So go back to Standardizer Transformation, Properties, add a new strategy. So my input is country, and the output, let me rename it country out1, and next is, let me choose replace reference table matches with valid values. Click on next. So this is case insensitive by default. Keep it the same way. Need to choose the reference table which is there under my projects country. Okay, and now you finish. So if you expand on this button, this will tell you what kind of strategy I have chosen. Okay, so now you drag and drop the output onto the expression transformation. Right click and run data viewer. As you see, United States of America, that's a match with the reference table here, and it returns USA. Okay, and next is US-A, again a match. U.S. is not a match, so there is no U.S. in the reference table, so it returns the data value itself, that is U.S. So America, again it's a match, you get USA because America is there as one of the alternate values, and I told you by default the comparison is case insensitive. So you get America translated to USA. Notice there are space before and after the field, and even when the data is standardized, the spaces are preserved. So if you don't want space, you go back to the strategy for standardizer and just click on this, or you have to click on this rather, because that's the main strategy, and you can remove trailing and leading spaces from here. Then rerun. So now you see America translated to USA, and the spaces are removed. Okay. Similarly, notice India and Canada, there are no corresponding entries in the reference table, so the same data values are returned. United States of America, so there's a space in between, multiple spaces, so it's not a match because here you have only a single space, but it goes and searches for America as a token, and it's able to translate that to USA depending on this value. So this is translated to USA. Okay, and there's a space in between, multiple spaces. So if you want to remove that, again go back to Standardizer Strategies, expand on this, and you can check mark this one, remove multiple spaces, click OK, and right click run data viewer. Once you run it, you can see now the multiple spaces are gone as well. Okay, now having said that, let's go and do a different strategy. So either you can apply more than one strategies to a single output port, or you can generate different output ports for each of the different strategies. So if you already have a port and you want to apply more than one strategy, you don't have to click new. Okay, because if you click new, this one again will generate a new output port with a new strategy. Okay, so discard yes. You can highlight this one and then click on new. Okay, so what it does is, let me tell you. You can right click on this, the same strategy, and you can add another strategy. So I've already shown you reference table matches with valid values. Let's go to the second one, replace reference table matches with custom strings. So now see, it doesn't ask you to create an output port because it already has an output port, and it is applying the second strategy. So for the second strategy, I'm choosing the same reference table country. Keep it case insensitive. Okay, and replace values. So how it works is, if you apply more than one strategy to the same output port, the output of the first strategy will be the input to the next strategy. So the output of the first strategy is standardized country names like USA, right? And then that value is coming here as an input. Now I want to replace it as US, USA -USD. Okay, click OK. Let me see if that value is there or not. No. So USA is returned by the first strategy, and the second strategy goes with this value. Okay, and replaces it with USA-USD. So the output port is here and the two strategies here. So let's run the expression. So as you can see, the first time we ran with one strategy, the output was USA. So now, since I'm replacing it with a custom text USA-USD, all these values are now coming as USA-USD. Whatever value it doesn't find, it reports the same value, like Canada, India, France, Japan. So practically what you would do is, you would include a filter after this to only filter out USA-USD, because these are standardized values, and you would ignore the rest, those being incorrect, non-standardized values. So that way you can separate and clean your data. So this is how the second strategy would work for the standardizer. Now let's create a new strategy and a new port. Okay, so click on this new. My input is still country, but my output, let's rename it to _out2. Click on OK. Let these be the same initially. We'll change it later. And now choose a different strategy. Say remove reference table matches. Okay. So the reference table remains same. That is country. Click finish. Now drag and drop this new output to the expression and run it on the data viewer. What you see is, since these are matches, these strings are now removed. first, second, the third one is not a match, so it's still there. Again, all these matches are removed and non-matches are still present. So this ways you can remove any strings that you don't want in your data by matching it with the reference tables. So again, go to strategies. So let's generate one more new strategy. Now let's choose the input as country and output as underscore out3. Choose remove custom strings. Next. So you have to define what the custom strings are. So in my data, I have some custom strings. I want to remove the dollar, percentage and hash. So I can give it dollar, next is percentage, next is hash. Okay, so drag and drop this output onto the expression. Right click, run data viewer. So I gave a dollar as a remove, percentage and hash, but I don't see any effect of removing these custom strings. Why? Because we go to strategies. Let's go to the third strategy, expand on it. Let's see the delimiter. So here is what the delimiter plays a part, because I have given the removable strings as dollar, percentage, hash, and here you have dollar. So this treats the standardizer, since you have given a separator as space, this will treat as one word. You try to match it with the custom strings. I have given a single dollar, doesn't find a match, so keeps it the way it is. Okay, so if I remove, don't choose any delimiter, then it will match for each character. So let's try that. So choose, I don't want any delimiter here. Okay, now let's run it. So you see dollar is now removed, percentage is now removed, hash is now removed. I have forgotten to give one more custom string, that is a brackets. So let's change the strategy a bit, add one more value as brackets, click on OK, and then run the data viewer again. So now you see the bracket is also removed now. So this covers, as I said before, I've already covered the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and now comes the fifth one. So replace custom strings. So now let me create one more new strategy. Go to Standardizer properties, strategies, add again a new one. Choose the input as country and output as, let me choose it as country underscore out4. Why won't choose a space, no delimiters. Next, replace custom strings. Now you can define all the custom strings. So the first one would be a dollar, second one would be for brackets, third one would be percentage, fourth one would be hash. What do I want to replace it with? Let me choose star star. Okay. Notice for whatever custom strings you define here, you can only replace all of them with one value. You cannot choose a different replace string for each of the custom strings. So click on it, finish, drag and drop the output onto the expression, right click and run data viewer. So choose, you can remove, I don't need to see 1, 2, 3 columns, and you can remove it from your side by pulling them onto the left panel. 1, 2, 3, click on OK. So now you can see only the current column, and if you see, I've replaced all these custom strings with star star. You can replace one string here, dollar, with 2 stars. So there are $2, 4 stars here, and likewise. So there are 3 hashes here. So you will get 2 stars each for the 3 hashes. That means 6 stars. So this covers standardizer transformation and the different strategies. So apart from this, in the advanced view, okay, you can have define other kind of reference tables for the strategies. You can choose the tracing level. It's the same as Power Center. Normal tracing level will output the error messages. DORS is minimum messages reported to the session log, and verbose data is the maximum row-wise reporting of session log. So if you want to debug anything, any problem with your mapping, verbose data will give you the most information in terms of each record, how it was processed. So you can also assign these reference tables to parameters, and you can assign parameters here for each of the reference table. So I'll cover parameters in another videos where I'll show the parameters being used not only in Standardizer but other transformations as well. So that's about it for the Standardizer transformation. Do let me know if this video is useful for you and if you're able to follow clearly what I said. And thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. And in the comment section, let me know if you have any questions or anything, any doubts you have about this. Thank you so much. See you again. Bye bye.